The reward for their capture now stands at $20,000 per escapee. Forecasters fear storm-battered parts of the country's midsection will see more powerful storms this week. 4 tornadoes were confirmed last evening in Oklahoma and Nebraska. On Wall Street, the Dow futures 12 points higher. More details at srnnews.com.
With Progressive, renters can save on protection for the things that make your place yours, even things that don't make sense to everyone.
People always wonder why I don't get rid of my guitar since I never play. But it's like, what if I actually end up taking lessons? Sure, I've had it for 8 years, but if I get rid of it, then what will my New Year's resolution be next January?
Exactly. So bundle your renters and auto and save with Progressive and protect the things that make sense to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and...
Here is the latest news and information that impacts you. I'm Derek White. The Oberlin City Council approved key upgrades during its May 1st meeting, including a $39,900 street chip seal project and a $108,000 electric line rehab proposal. 2 community events also got the green light, a street dance on May 23rd and the Up in Smoke event at Sapa Park. For details, contact Oberlin City Hall. Grinnell is picking up the pieces after a tornado ripped through town Sunday evening, damaging homes, flipping vehicles on I-70, and knocking out utilities. Miraculously, no injuries were reported. Crews from across western Kansas are restoring power while natural gas service remains shut off due to leaks. Sheriff John Mesh urges residents to keep roads clear, otherwise authorities want all traffic in town to be at a minimum. For more information on this and other stories, visit nwksradio.net.
Rocket 1025.
Today, will there be stiff west-northwesterly winds at 20 to 30 miles per hour with gusts 45 to 50. These strong winds will be concern for high-profile vehicles out on the roads and will increase fire weather conditions, especially north of I-70 and in southwestern Nebraska. Skies will be partly cloudy, highs 70 to 75 overnight. Winds will diminish to 10 to 20 miles per hour this evening, become lighter at 5 to 10 miles per hour after midnight. With clear skies, lows will drop 40 to 45. Tomorrow and Thursday, dry and warmer, highs in the mid to upper 70s. Thursday night, some chances for scattered showers and storms with lows in the upper 40s and low 50s. Friday and Saturday, showers and storms are likely as 2 low-pressure systems move out of Colorado and across the area. Be cloudy and cooler with highs 70 to 75 on Friday, 65 to 70 on Saturday, while lows will be near 45 to 50. Some severe weather is possible, and we'll keep you updated here. Sunday and Memorial Day look dry. This is meteorologist Chris Romick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Spring is in full swing at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Get your lawn and garden looking their best with Ultimate Fertilizer and gear up with Eco blowers and mowers for the season ahead. Tackling a project, they've got a surplus of quality lumber ready for all your building needs. And when the work's done, fire up the fun with their wide selection of grills, smokers, and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Stop by Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your one-stop shop for spring projects, big and small.
Big savings are waiting at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Get a 25 Chevy Silverado 1500 with 0.9% APR for 60 months plus $3,500 trade-in cash. Or choose a 25 GMC Sierra 1500 Turbo Max, 0.9% APR or up to over $7,800 off if you own a GMC or Buick. And don't forget, military members get an extra $750 cash allowance. It's happening now at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
May is Beef Month. Hi, this is Jill at the Farmer State Bank of Oakland. We are proud to celebrate the hardworking men and women behind one of our region's most vital industries. We see the early mornings, the long days, and the dedication it takes to raise quality beef, and we say thank you. Your work keeps beef on our tables and our local economy thriving. So here's a special salute to you, our local cattle producers, during Beef Month. The Farmer State Bank of Oakley, member FDIC.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
If you want to win in football, it all starts up front. Mass kicks ass.
The region's only local sports talk.
Listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5. Simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guys everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Showtime for the Lady Eagles.
To the pros.
McKinnon is in at running back. First down and goal to go. Play action fake. Right side throw. Touchdown! Kansas City!
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work. The 2-2. Hit out towards right field. That's going to get down. That's an RBI knock. It's going to roll all the way to the fence. Everett's going to have herself her 6th triple at least. Cure comes in, stamps on home. Oh, Cure, why did Ellie put the brakes on? She stops there at second. She should have kept coming. Hit that one all the way to the right field corner. That should have been a 3-bagger. Instead it's just a double, but it's an RBI double, and even more importantly, it knots this game up at 1.
Jake Bird with a pitch to Schwarber, and a bouncing ball to second. It could be 2. Second for 1. Tovar on the first hits a double play. Jake Bird works out of some trouble, minimizes the damage. Rockies still lead.
That is life. Fair over the bag at first. Rolling down the right field line. This is going to tie it. It might win it. The Marlins walk off the cone.
And good Tuesday morning, everybody. We're off and rolling here on this May the 20th. So glad you could join us on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 or NWKSradio.net, or if you're watching via the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on X, Facebook, YouTube. Appreciate tuning in, no matter which way you are doing so, here on a blustery start to a Tuesday. A little cool as well. Temperatures around 42, 43, 44 when I got up this morning, now up to 47. Still going to get to a high of 71. A couple of cool days ahead. I mean, if you want to, I don't want to say cool days, nice days. 70 to 74 looks like. Maybe a little breezy off and on. But we will see some warmer temperatures on Friday. Temperatures can be around the mid-80s on Friday and then back down into the 70s, it looks like, for this coming weekend. But once again, a cooler start to today. But a beautiful morning. The sun is out. Just a little breezy, but might as well just get used to it. I'm telling you what, the wind was blowing like you know what all day yesterday, which made for a very interesting day local sports-wise, which we're going to get to here coming up in a little bit. We're going to look back at regionals from yesterday, both golf as well as softball. Look ahead to what to expect today for baseball regionals that resume over in Colby. So we'll get to all that coming up here in just a little bit with some regional talk. We will also be talking with Tucker Branham, Colby High School softball coach. His team with the win yesterday, taking down what was Scott City 13-1 in 5 innings. And we'll discuss his thoughts on his team as they get set for semifinals tomorrow back here in Goodland. See if the Lady Eagles have what it takes to possibly punch their ticket to state with 2 more wins for them coming up here on Wednesday, possibly. And then we will also touch on at the back end of the show, there is some movement toward a college sports commission. What does that mean? But there's some movement on a college sports commission. And I think it's actually might be a good thing in the long run for college athletics. So we will get to that coming up here in just a little bit. But I want to start first and foremost on the local sports side of things. Regional action from yesterday. It was a very busy day in Goodland. It was a windy day in Goodland. I was joking with Marty Lehman, Goodland athletic director, as I was coming in to cover softball. It's like, if you could really find a way to cut this wind down, I would really appreciate it. I mean, it was a windy day yesterday, out at the golf course at Sugar Hills. Kids fought that wind, that was up around, consistently around 20 to 25 miles per hour out there at Sugar Hills. And then it seemed to blow just as hard, if not more, at the softball fields there at Ray Dye Field on the southwest side of Goodland for regionals. I do have to admit I was impressed. There was a Colby Lake Eagle that did hit a home run into that stiff north wind, which I was highly impressed by, because it was a very, very windy day that saw a lot of pop flies and fly balls get altered by the wind. And, some balls that might have ended up being, fair ball down the right field line ended up being, out of the field of play. So dealing with the wind. But I want to start first and foremost with golf. Congratulations to the Goodland Cowboy golf team. They capture a regional title yesterday. They defend their home course there at Sugar Hills Golf Club in Goodland. They absolutely dominate, to be honest with you. They were so good, were the Cowboys, getting it done yesterday with just some really good showings by a lot of different golfers, if we're being completely open and honest. It was a really great performance from Goodland. They ended up shooting a 330 as a team. That was 43 shots better than Norton, who finished in second place. And so Goodland qualifies as a team for state, getting his first career victory, which I'm kind of surprised. But it was Barrett Schlosser with a 79 leading the field. That was one shot better than his teammate Blair Lennon, who was fantastic. Raleigh was telling me that Blair was knocking in about a lot of, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 footers most of the day, which helped him shoot an 80, tying for second with Russell's Jake Mooney. But those two guys led the way, not too far behind. Braylon Mole coming in 6th place. Trent Sheldon also with a top 10 finish. He finished in 8th with an 87. So Cowboys got 4 fantastic performances, once again, from Barrett Schlosser, Blair Lennon, Braylon Mole, and Trent Sheldon. Those 4 gentlemen went out there, played fantastic golf, and powered the Cowboys to a convincing win at their own home regional, which is cool to see. I mean, I think it was expected. The Cowboys have played good all season long, no matter what golf course they were on. And to be home for regionals, you'd think that would be an extra boost because you know your own course. You practice on it every day. You should know it. And they did that. And they really showed that by dominating the field, once again winning by 43 shots and having 4 top 10 finishers. The way 3A works is that there are 6 regional host sites. That means that only the top 2 teams from each regional will get to go on to the state tournament. So Goodland and Norton, led by Eli Jones, who finished in 4th with an 81, they will be going to the state tournament as teams. There were a couple of other regional golfers that qualified. It's the top 5 golfers who are not a part of either Goodland or Norton in this case. So Jake Mooney of Russell qualified. Noah Richter of Lakin qualified, as did Holcomb's Luke Tyne, who's been great all season, as well as Colby's Cade Youngman qualified as well, and Jackson Rumford. Those were the 5 individuals that qualify. I think that's 5, running 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think it's 5. I think maybe even Brayson Hoover might have qualified for that as well. I know that's up in the air. The surprise was Caleb Dixon did not for Colby. He's had a phenomenal season. He did not qualify. He's been the Eagles' top golfer a majority of the season, but he ends up not making the cut. But Cade Youngman did, who shot an 88. And so Colby will send him, but the Goodland Cowboys will send a team to state after dominating their own regional there in 3A. And that was a really impressive performance. But, I was looking at, you always, as a coach, you always kind of look at some of the other regionals to see where other team scores were at. Cheney at the Kingman Regional won that with a 347. And I always find interesting, you can go and compare scores because, you're kind of trying to think, well, in comparison to other teams around the state, how did we do? And, I was just kind of looking at a couple of other regionals, trying to find some, and I didn't find a ton, but that 330 is going to play really well. Now, once again, that's on your home course. It's going to be a lot different coming up here on Monday when the Cowboys have to travel to not very far. Garden City will be hosting there. Buffalo Dunes is the site of 3A state golf, which is really cool. Not a long trip for teams out west. for Goodland or for Holcomb or for Jackson Rumford, Luke Tyne, those guys. Not a long trip to go for state golf on a Monday. Pretty darn cool. And it's a course that these guys have played. They know it. They haven't played it a ton, but they know it, at least in the case of like Goodland, for example. So it ought to be interesting to see. They've been on that course before this year a couple of times. They ought to know how to play that course pretty well. And so we will see what all happens. But very, very exciting time for Goodland Cowboy golf. I feel like it was kind of expected. I'm not trying to say that that they walked through this whole deal. No, it was just kind of expected. They'd had a great season, and they showed up when it mattered the most in the postseason, punching their ticket to state as a team. And I think they have a good chance to bring home some hardware at 3A State. We will see with the other competition and the other scores that roll in. But you have to like the idea, once again, that they have played there a couple times, and over the course of their careers, they played there multiple times. They know that course, and we'll see how it all pans out coming up here on Monday. But Goodland was not the only team to qualify for state this yesterday. They were not the only team, like I mentioned. There were plenty of others from other classifications. 2A in Leota is where Hoxie won themselves a regional championship. The Indians, with a really good showing, finished, I think it was plus 36 as a team. They had 3 golfers inside the top 10, led by Noah Dowell, who finished a very impressive 1 under par. He just absolutely lit the course up. He's only golfer under par. But they had 3 golfers in the top 10. They finished with a regional title there in Leota. And Hokley qualifying 2 guys for the state golf tournament individually in Easton Fink, who's been consistently good all season, and Manuel Mancia will also be going to state golf, I believe. So congratulations to, once again, Easton and Manuel and the Hoxie golf team as they continue to show how great that athletic department is over there at Hoxie, with the consistent success in football, in wrestling and basketball and golf and track and field. Just a great all-around athletic department there at Hoxie as they once again win a regional title in 2A there in Leota. And then 1A was up in St. Francis, and 2 were for sure area teams, 1 just on the fringe qualifying for state. Greeley County wins the regional just ahead of Rollins County and Decatur Community. All 3 of those teams will qualify for state. Once again, that's Greeley County, Rollins County, Decatur Community, all going to state as teams. 3 area golfers qualify as individuals in St. Francis's. I think it's Carter. I think it's Mathis or Matthias, one of the 2. And then Jay Gilland and Quinters Shea Salyers qualifying for state individually. They're at the 1A regional in St. Francis. I'll pull this up here real quickly. Well, of course, I was going to say I've been clicking on these links that they were working yesterday, but they're not working today for whatever reason. Oh, there we go. Got it working. Jeb Castens had a great showing from Rollins County, shot a 76, finishing in second. Decatur Communities, I think it's Cohen Owen, finished with a 75 in first place. Braxton Mangan of Greeley County tying for second with a 76. Lincoln Schaefer of Greeley County finishing with a 4th place, finishing 81. So, yeah, some really good showings from some local golfers there. And once again, you'll see 3 teams, Decatur Community, Greeley County, and Rollins County, all qualifying for the state golf tournament. And then you'll have 3 individuals, St. Francis's Carter Mathis, Jay Gilliland, and Quinters Shea Salyers, all going to state coming up here this next week. 1A state tournament is, I had it in my brain here. They go to, I think it's Dodge City. Mariah Hills is where they go. So they go to Dodge City, does 1A state tournament. 2A state tournament is going to be at Turkey Creek in McPherson. That is where the 2A state. And I was going to quickly see if I could pull up. They've got the scores in different spots, unfortunately, here. So I'm trying to get to these regional scores here real quickly. See if I can pull up the 2A individual scores real quick from Wichita County, because it's not posted to the same thing. I'll see if I can find this here. Well, I don't know. They're going to have it. They might have pulled it. Yep, they pulled it. So unfortunately, it's not up anymore. But anyway, congratulations. Once again, you've got Goodland boys team with individuals from and then individual Cade Youngman from Colby qualifying for 3A state next Monday in Garden City at Buffalo Dunes. Hoxie as a team qualifying for state with Oakley's Easton Fink and Manuel Mancia. And then you have Greeley County, Rollins County, Decatur Community, all qualifying for state as teams. And then St. Francis's Carter Matthias, Jay Gilland and Shea Sawyers from Quinter are all going to state. Congratulations to all those gentlemen there making it to state, which starts on Monday. Once again, if you're kind of going back to the scores, the way I read it was if it's 3A, it's the top 2 teams qualify for state, and then the top 5 individual golfers not tied to those teams. If it's another classification like 2A or 1A, it's different. You've got it'll be the top 3 teams that qualify, and then the top 5 golfers not tied to one of those 3 qualifying teams. That's how you break it down. So anyway, I told you who I believe. I've been wrong before, trust me. But I believe that's who will be making it to the state tournaments coming up here on Monday. Continuing regional talk, softball yesterday. A couple of nice wins for Goodland and Colby as they advance into the semifinal round. It all got going yesterday with the early game of Cimarron Ingalls taking down Haskell County 17-5, the final score there as they get that done in 5 innings. Cimarron Ingalls advancing, picking up their 16th win of the season. Colby then taking down Scott City 13-1. Ryler Carter held the Beavers to just 1 hit, and Colby was able to get a home run into that stiff wind and continue to pile on the runs. They win 13-1 in 5 innings. So it's Colby versus Cimarron Ingalls tomorrow in the second game of a triple header out at Ray Dye Field, which ought to be very entertaining. And then in the evening cap, the afternoon cap, if you want to call that, the Goodland Cowgirls came from behind against Lakin. It was a pitcher's duel through the first. I mean, it really was a pitcher's duel throughout, but really no real run threat through the first couple of innings. Lakin would get a 2-out kind of slap hit single, and the speed of Luna Vasquez, along with Julia Ariola, with a nice piece of hitting, able to give Lakin a 1-0 lead in the top of the third. It wouldn't be until the bottom of the fifth when the Goodland Cowgirls got a runner on in the form of Allie Cure, and then probably the best hit ball of the game off the bat of Ellie Everett, who went 3 for 3 with the run scored and drove in Allie Cure from second base. And then Allie would come in to score on an RBI from Alyssa Rickard, and that would be enough for the Cowgirls to tie the game and then take the lead 2-1, and then would hold on to that win, 2-1, the final score. And, pretty good. Like I said, it was a really good pitcher's duel. When you go back through the final numbers, Allie Cure got the win in the circle, a complete game 5 hitter with 1 run that wasn't earned, 1 walk and 8 punch outs. And then Mariah Ortiz, 6 innings, gave up 11 hits, but only 2 runs. Both of them were earned with 4 strikeouts and a walk. I mean, both pitchers pitched very well. Cowgirls just were able to come up with a couple of timely hits late. And, Lakin had some opportunities in the game, but some base running blunders, really from both teams. But Lakin was the one that really hurt them. They had one where a miscommunication at second base had almost the second runner surpass the runner at third, almost happened, ended up being an out anyway. And then they were able to bring in a young lady out of the dugout to run in a situation to try and tie the game, and she got picked off trying to go to second base. And so some base running blunders by Lakin kind of hurt their chances of tying that game up late. But Goodland prevails. They get to above 500 for the first time this season. They are 11-10. And they draw the top seed Southwestern Heights, who won once again by forfeit because Holcomb doesn't have enough ladies to field a team here at the end of the season. And so you've got Southwestern Heights and Goodland meeting tomorrow at 2 Central, 1 Mountain Time at Ray Dye Field here in Goodland. And we'll have coverage of that on Goodland's Rocket 102.5. And then the winner of that game will face the winner of Colby Cimarron Ingalls. That'll be the nightcap game. Oh, I would guess, depending on how these games go, that could be around 5, 6, 7 o'clock. I don't know. It just depends on how these first 2 games go. I mean, I was joking with Cowgirl softball coach Tess Smith on the way out of the field yesterday because I was saying, boy, a triple header done in what was pretty much 5 hours. They started at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. We were walking out just after 6. So they got 3 games in 5 hours. Really, really impressive, and didn't have to deal with the weather, which was also a blessing. So, but the Cowgirls looked decent. Colby looked pretty dominant. Cimarron Ingalls did as well. That Colby Cimarron Ingalls game should be very entertaining. In fact, we'll get some more thoughts on that with our guest coming up here in about 5 minutes or so with Tucker Branham, head coach for the Colby Eagles softball team. And then the Goodland Southwestern Heights game, I think that'll be a good one as well. Southwestern Heights is 19-3. I think they're 20-3 with the forfeit now. They've had a great season, kind of a younger group to an extent, but they got some decent athletes. But Goodland's just playing some really good softball right now. If they can get some run support, there's a chance they could be playing in a regional title. In fact, I don't know. My gut says, this is just my gut. We'll see how it all goes. I just don't know. I feel like as if we could see an upset there of the 4 over the 1. And I feel like we're going to see probably Colby take down Cimarron Ingalls, but you just never know. You never know. I didn't think that Lake and Goodland game would be a 2-1 game, but it was. But the Cowgirls did prevail. So anyway, there you go. That's your update for softball. And then before we get to a break, I want to quickly get to regionals for today because there is baseball regionals resuming today over in Colby. And the Colby Eagles will be on the diamond here later this afternoon. They'll be playing the second game of what is a triple header today over there at Ray Dye Field. Game 1 will feature Holcomb versus Russell Victoria. The Longhorns 20-5, the number 1 seed. Russell Victoria is the 5 seed in this regional. They are now 16-11 after an 8-2 win over Cimarron Ingalls back on Friday. Interesting to see. Holcomb should be at full strength because they were able to keep all their pitchers under that 75 pitch mark. And so they should be at full strength, ready to go today. They've got great depth in their bullpen and rotation. It just comes down to getting those timely hits. Holcomb once again left the bases loaded 3 times against Goodland, what was a 2-0 win on Friday. I have not seen Russell Victoria. I couldn't tell you much about them. We will see, though. And then Colby takes on Lakin, and Lakin's had a really good season. They're 14-5. It took everything they had, though, to beat Southwestern Heights in the 3-6 game back on Friday, winning 14-3. Lakin will have their hands full with a Colby team who once again got off to an extremely slow start against Scott, was down 7-0 on Friday, roared back, outscored him 13-1 the rest of the way, and gets a 13-8 victory. And so I don't know, we'll see what happens, but it's going to be the second game between Colby and Lakin. Lakin has kind of been known for having some pretty good pitchers and usually a solid baseball program. I just feel like Colby's bats, if they come to the office, which they do most days, they're a really hard team to beat. And so we'll see what happens here coming up today. But Holcomb, Russell, Victoria, followed by Colby, Lakin. And then after that Colby-Lakin game, about a half hour after, it'll be the championship between the winners of those 2 semifinal games. So best luck to all teams there. But there's your update from regionals that'll be taking place today over in Colby. So there you go. Like I said, a very busy day yesterday with softball and golf. And today it continues with baseball, and it will continue into tomorrow with more softball action. So, all right, let's get to our first time out here on the Morning Blitz. As always, FB Bank text line is open at 785-899-2222. And we will get to our guest of the day. That would be Tucker Branham, head coach of the Colby Lady Eagles softball team. They're coming off a convincing 13-1 win yesterday over Scott City, advancing in the semifinals. We'll get his thoughts on his team's performance and what he thinks of his squad going into the semifinals tomorrow. Next, you're listening to the Morning Blitz.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland, and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Kate Thompson with the Anderson's Trade Group. Today is Tuesday, May 20th. On the overnight last night, July corn higher 6 1/4 at 4.53 3/4. September up 6 at 4.34 1/4. December up 5 3/4 at 4.47 1/2. March corn up 5 1/4 at 4.61 3/4. July soybeans up 1 3/4 on the overnight at 10.52 1/2. August up 2 at 10.49 3/4. September up a cent at 10.31 1/2. November beans up 2 1/2 at 10.39 1/2. Chicago wheat July contract higher 10 1/4 at 5.39 1/4. September up 10 1/4 at 5.53 1/4. December up 9 1/4 at 5.73 3/4. March soft wheat up 9 cents at 5.93. Kansas City Wheat's July contract higher 11 and a quarter at 5.34. September up 10 and 3/4 at 7 and a quarter. December up 10 and a half at 5.69. March hard wheat up 9 and 3/4 at 5.88. On the stock market, the Dow down $23 at 42,862. The S&P down 16 at 5,966. Gold higher at $12 an ounce at 3,246. Crude oil down 6 cents a barrel at $62.63. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call, John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Pluto, Jared Law, Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Today, we're talking with Zach Ogles, agronomy manager from Tessenderlo-Curley. Zach, how can Thiosol and KTS improve outcomes for wheat growers?
When they apply a product like one of our thiosulfates, they're not only going to be receiving the sulfur benefit, they're going to be protecting the nitrogen that they're applying along with it. We can help the grower reduce losses through nitrate leaching. We're helping to protect the groundwater, improving the well water quality, while keeping most of that nitrogen available to the plant.
Ask your local ag retailer for Thiosol and KTS.
Bugs can wreak havoc on post-harvest stored grain.
Loved ones, your spouse, parents, or even children. Buckle up for them. A message from the Kansas Department of Transportation.
No one rambles on better than Ross Volkmer.
All you do is talk on
the Morning Blitz.
8:33 Central, 7:33 Mountain Time. It's Tuesday, May the 20th, making our way to a high of 71 here today. Once again, a little blustery and breezy, but what's the shocker there? Listener chiming in with some of his predictions for the regionals today in baseball. He thinks that we'll see possibly an upset as Russell will beat Holcomb possibly. Look, there's no doubt Russell Victoria is a fantastic baseball program. There's no doubt about that. And maybe that will happen. We'll see. I do think Colby, though, will probably beat Lake, and that's just my gut reading on that. Kind of like what the Lady Eagles did yesterday in softball when they took down the Scott City Lady Beavers 13-1, and their head coach, Tucker Branham, joins us now on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. Good morning, Coach. How are we doing today?
Oh, not too bad. Thanks for having me.
I tell you what, I got to tell the story, Tucker. So I'm walking into the game yesterday. You guys are playing against Scott City, and I'm walking in thinking in my head, like, good boy, I'll tell you this north wind, this is going to be hard to hit a home run out of this thing. And as I think that, Ryler Carter decides to blast one over the field. I don't know about your thoughts on that, but I was highly impressed that thing got out.
Yeah, she got all of that one. I was watching it off the bat. I thought, oh, man, that's gone. But obviously the wind was blowing in, and I kept watching it. It just was floating and floating and floating. And I thought, oh no, their left fielder was giving chase, and I thought, it's going to come right back to her. And it didn't. So she got a hold of that one for sure to put it out. So
just got all that backspin, like all that backspin that you teach them all the time, right? Get all that backspin you can. Let it just ride the wind up there.
Exactly.
Tucker Branham, our guest here on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline, head coach for the Colby Lady Eagles softball team. What did you think of the performance yesterday from your squad? I mean, overall, very convincingly, but when you get into the fine details of it, how did you think they performed?
Yeah, I think obviously our first inning was a little slow there when we took the field, but that was to be expected a little bit. There's always a little bit of extra pressure knowing that you could be playing in your last game. But after that, we really got rolling, and there wasn't really a time after we scored 3 in the bottom of the first. There wasn't really a time where I felt like, oh man, what's going to happen here. And so, you know, we haven't played for 2 weeks, and so we've been working a lot on tuning up some things, but also just talking about the mental aspect of, you know, the regional tournament and what it's going to take to get where we want to be, and that's to the state tournament. So I thought they did a great job handling that, and getting settled in, and then just playing our best softball. So.
Can you kind of dive deeper into the thoughts of the mental preparation for a tournament like this? How do you go about describing it to your ladies?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that I tell them, I just try to remind them that at the end of the day, I care more about them as people than I do winning softball games. And so as long as we continue to do what we do, and continue to fight and continue to compete, at the end of the day, whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. And, you know, I told them yesterday before we took the field, that, you know, the only thing that's guaranteed, if you give up and quit chasing the goal that you set out for, is losing. So regardless of the score, whether we're up 15 or down 15, you got to keep competing, and you got to keep chasing what you set out for. And so I think they did that pretty well yesterday. So.
No doubt, a 13-1 win. Ryler Carter was great with the bat, also great in the circle, just a one hitter with 7 strikeouts there in that 13-1 win. How challenging has it been from the coach's perspective and from the girls' perspective to not have a game for 2 weeks and have to go out there and play in a game where, like you said, it could be one and done?
Yeah, you know, my assistants kept me pretty calm. I was freaking out a little bit, to be honest with you. I didn't know. You know, sometimes that can be really good. Or sometimes they can be, oh man, are we going to get out of rhythm and all that stuff? But, you know, we had some fun. We had a senior night, even though Holcomb didn't come to town. We organized a kickball game with our parents, and that was kind of a cool deal. And so we had some fun and tried to keep it light for a little bit. And then those last 3-4 practices before Monday, we really, you know, turned it up and started competing. We threw live in practice and all that stuff. So yeah, it was challenging for sure. I think the girls handled it well. They didn't really seem to miss a beat at all. So I was a little worried that they would, but they didn't. So.
Once again, Tucker Branham, our guest here on the Hoover Lumber's Hardware Hotline. Can you confirm or deny that the parents beat the girls in kickball? I heard there was a parent victory.
Yes, the parents did win. They went into extra innings. So went into extra innings, and the parents ended up getting the win. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun to watch. So
who had the clutch kick? Not the clutch hit, but the clutch kick. Do you remember?
Oh, let's see. I don't remember when it came, but I know that Bo Kleinsorge had a home run.
Okay.
So, and I believe Ray Nolan had a clutch hit.
Well, of course,
with an RBI as well. So, yeah,
of course, Ray.
I don't remember exactly when their kicks were, like what inning, but I remember those two things for sure. So.
That stuck out as well. That's great. Absolutely fun. And like I said, creative way of keeping, still getting the the mental reps per se, but having some fun with it as well during a tough time off there. I mean, coming before that 2-week layoff though, how did you feel like the team was playing as the regular season was coming to a close?
Yeah, I think, well, we struggled a little bit defensively when we went to Cimarron. And, we really kind of took some time away from the bats and started ironing out some defensive things. And then, we went down to Ulysses and played really well the first game. The second game, they kind of started to hit a little bit, and we found ourselves in a little bit of a pickle. We were down 3 or 4 runs, and then going into the top of the 6th, the bats finally came around for us. So. As far as overall play, I mean, our bats have been pretty hot all year long. But I think we're at a point right now where our defense is really starting to pick it up. We're cutting down errors. we're making more routine plays, and we're even making some of those plays that at the beginning of the year we probably didn't have a chance at. So,
what do you credit to? I mean, this is a problem, or not say a problem. This is an issue for almost every team that plays kind of this softball in the spring, where it's really only a month to 2 months of practice and games that you get. Why do you think many teams, including your own, struggle with the errors that we see on a consistent basis, game in and game out, for a lot of teams?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is it takes a ton of reps. I mean, and every surface is different. And there's a lot that goes into it. When we play at home, our dirt, I mean, it's pretty hard. So, the hops are pretty true, and they're coming at you pretty hot, and then you go to a different surface that may be a little bit softer, slows it down a little bit. But I think the biggest thing for us was just getting enough of those reps under pressure. I think you can hit 3 buckets of ground balls at practice, and most of the time there's not really any base runners. It's not a tie game, and so as the season goes on, and you play through that, and you battle through adversity, and have to overcome, oh man, I just booted a ball, or I just sailed a throw and allowed 2 runs to score. Now we're down. Those high pressure situations where you got to overcome, I think is what makes you better. And that's where we've improved a ton. We just had a lot of high pressure reps. We've kept a lot of games close this year, due to some errors. And I think, here at the end, it's really starting to pay off for us.
Yeah, because it is very difficult to get those, like you said, those live reps in practice. It's very difficult. I mean, is there something that you try to do to recreate that as best you possibly can with a drill of some sort?
Yeah, we do a little bit. So I usually, most of the time, and I do the same thing for hitting too. But I usually let the girls split up into 2, sometimes 3 teams. And I've got a bunch of different systems where we'll keep track. So if we're dealing with an oppo hitting drill, you get X amount of points for executing this, or you get so many points for executing a bunt, and then we do the same thing defensively. And so a lot of times I mix it into front toss on the field, and there's 3 teams competing against each other. And so, obviously 2 teams got to work together to keep the one from scoring runs. And so, most of the time that's about what it is. We also do another thing called 21 outs, where we have to go through 7 innings, get 3 outs. And if we make an error, we got to start over. So there's times where we've done that for a little while, but we eventually make it through it. So, but yeah, I think just try to simulate that, and then I also tell them, every time you throw out here, every time you catch, every time you hit, every time you swing, all of those are reps. And so you got to make the most out of every rep you get. I mean, even if you're an outfielder, when we do ground ball, fly ball lines, even if you're an outfielder in the infield, ground balls get hit to the outfield too. So, we gotta utilize every rep you get out here. And I think they've done a great job of that. And like I said, it's really starting to show, and I think it's going to pay off for us here. So.
Well, it just sounds like something from a movie. We'll be out here all night until we get it done.
So yeah, we haven't had to be out there all night yet, but
yeah. We'll see about that. How do you handle today, Tucker? Because it's like you get a big pressure game done here yesterday. You have a day to kind of get yourself reset for hopefully a doubleheader tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. I think it's going to be windy again, so we'll go out to the field and we'll get some meaningful cuts in and take a few ground balls, just loosen up a little bit, and then probably go watch baseball. To be honest, I think we'll kind of take it easy. Not going to do anything crazy. I thought we played well yesterday. So I mean, we were fielding bunts and and played well defensively, throwing strikes, hitting the ball. So, that's another thing that we've really been pushing these last 3 or 4 practices, was meaningful cuts, kind of taking your time in the cage instead of flying through 10 pitches. And the goal is to have 10 perfect barrels in every round that you go through the cage. So that's probably what today will look like. Just get a few cuts in, get a few ground balls, fly balls, loosen up a little bit, and get ready to relax and be ready for tomorrow.
If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? If it's not broke, don't fix
That's
it.
Right.
Tucker Branham, our guest, Colby High School softball coach. I'll get you out of here on this. Of the final 4 teams are left, what are your thoughts on this final 4 that you'll possibly face coming up here tomorrow?
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. There'll be lots of emotions. I think there'll be 3 really intense games. I don't really foresee a team that's going to run away with one of these games. I think we got Cimarron, and normally when a team sweeps you in the regular season, you would expect your girls to kind of cheer against them so they don't have to see them again. But when we sat there and watched the first game, they were cheering for Cimarron because they want another shot at them. So, I think, and Cimarron's going to be ready. They're coached really well. They're competitive, and so it's going to be a battle. It'll be fun, and I think the same thing. I think the same thing's true for Southwestern Heights and Goodland. Southwestern Heights is really talented, but Goodland's playing probably their best softball right now, and so that's gonna make for a really good game there too. So it's gonna be a battle. I think there'll be 3 really intense games out there tomorrow, and it's gonna be fun.
I couldn't agree more. Once again, head coach of the Colby Lady Eagles softball team, that is Tucker Branham. Tucker, thank you so much for spending some time, my friend. We'll see you here tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Once again, great stuff there from Tucker Branham. Is once again the Colby Eagles with a 13-1 convincing win in 5 innings over Scott City yesterday. They will take on, like he said, Cimarron Ingalls in the semifinals tomorrow. That'll be game 2 of a triple header. Game 1 will be Goodland Southwestern Heights, and then the winners of both semifinals play in the championship game later on tomorrow evening. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the wind won't be blowing his blade. Oh, please don't. Please don't. There were times yesterday where the wind would blow so much it'd just kick up all the dirt on the infield and throw it in the face of the fans, or it would have been the team in the first baseline dugout. No one wants that. It's no fun to play with a big old dirt cloud, but that's what was happening yesterday. Hopefully, less wind tomorrow. All right, about 12 minutes to the top of the hour here on a Tuesday, May the 20th. As always, FB Bank text line is open, 785-899-2220. If you want to be part of the Morning Blitz, get your thoughts, comments, and questions in. And we will take a break. When we come back, we are going to discuss the College Sports Commission. There is some steam behind this. What does it mean for college athletics going forward? We'll get to it next here on a Tuesday edition of the Morning Blitz.
Get up to $1,000 off your new device at Next Tech Wireless. Already a customer and need to upgrade? You're eligible for up to $1,000 off too. Choose from the latest devices like the iPhone 16 or the Samsung Galaxy S25. And it doesn't stop there. Get a $100 Visa gift card for all new lines. Stop by a location near you today. Next Tech Wireless, connecting Kansas.
Where is the best place to go to stream your favorite NWKS radio station? NWKSradio.net. Where should you go to find out what's happening in the area? NWKSradio.net. What's happening with local area sports? NWKSradio.net. Is the weather causing delays or cancellations? NWKSradio.net. Need tickets to the next big NWKS radio event? NWKSradio.net. The place to go to be in the know. NWKSradio.net.
At FNB Bank, we know family comes first. Whether you're opening a savings account for your kids, buying a new home, or planning for the future, we're here to help every step of the way. With personalized service and flexible options, we make banking easy for your growing family. FNB Bank, serving families, strengthening communities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Big savings are waiting at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Get a 25 Chevy Silverado 1500 with 0.9% APR for 60 months plus $3,500 trade-in cash. Or choose a 25 GMC Sierra 1500 Turbo Max, 0.9% APR or up to over $7,800 off if you own a GMC or Buick. And don't forget, military members get an extra $750 cash allowance. It's happening now at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
Kickstart your day with the latest in sports.
Go Sports!
You're listening to the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Thanks again to Tucker Branham for joining the program. Once again, should be a very exciting day over in Colby for regional baseball. Triple header today over at Young Memorial Field, and then we'll have softball back over here in Goodland. It's nice to not have these long road trips. I've enjoyed that, that's for sure. Let's continue here on the Morning Blitz, getting into, before we get to the walk-off, the College Sports Commission. So CBS Sports has had a couple articles on this here over the last 24 hours, and it's pretty fascinating stuff, I think. You know, a fan of college, if you're a fan of college sports, you know, you're looking for some way, somehow to, you know, right now it's the Wild West. Everybody can kind of do what they want. You know, you can offer as much money to kids to come play, pay for play or NIL. You know, you do it. It's free for all, you know, and usually it's the fat cats that are winning. You know, you're bigger, the SEC, the Big Ten are the conferences that are getting, because they have the most money, they get away with more stuff. And so I think we're starting to see some steps. I'm not saying this is going to fix it, but I think we're starting to see some steps as we've talked about on the show many times before. You know, the toothpaste is out of the tube. There's no way you're going to get that toothpaste back into the tube, but you could kind of clean it up a little bit and get some of it, you know, so it's not all over the counter and all over the sink and all over the mirror. You can kind of clean it up a little bit to make it look a little bit better and all that. But so Power 4 conference leaders are circulating a binding agreement that would change college football, at least in this case, governance, by creating a new law enforcement body called the College Sports Commission. So here are the key points. So the College Sports Commission, I'm going to call it the CSC. The CSC would enforce rules, including oversight of name, image, and likeness, NIL, deals through a clearinghouse to ensure contracts reflect market value. So that means that you just can't go to some student athlete and say, well, and this I think would be mostly for kids coming out of high school, like, hey, left tackle from wherever, here is $2.5 million to come to our school as a freshman, even though you've done nothing. And there are guys playing college football that are getting all kinds of getting paid, but nowhere near that kind of money, and have played meaningful snaps in this case of football. So the CSC would enforce those rules of name, image, and likeness through a clearinghouse that would reflect market value. Like you can't give that guy $2.5 million. He's not worth that. And so they would put the kibosh down on that. You could offer this much, but not this much. The schools must sign the agreement or risk expulsion from their leagues and being blacklisted by other members. This is a fascinating one. So if you don't want to follow these rules, you could get kicked out from your own league. So let's just say, for example, Tennessee didn't want to follow the rules. Well, they'd be kicked out from the SEC. At least that's how that is. And then blacklisted from other members in other conferences to where they wouldn't have any games. They're trying to find ways to squeeze these programs and teams into saying you have to sign this or you're done. That's pretty much what they're doing. The agreement would limit schools' ability to sue over enforcement decisions. So once again, if, you know, that's the whole deal with the Nico Amaliva situation in Arkansas with his brother Madden, they're suing, you know, over that. Well, this would limit the school's ability to sue enforcement. It would help enforce compliance with House versus NCAA settlement, which will allow for direct pay for play. Plan appears to shift power away from the NCAA, which may fully exit enforcement duties, likely with a CEO likely to oversee the College Sports Commission post-settlement. That's another point we'll get to here in just a second with that CEO. There are still lots of legal hurdles remain, particularly in states like Tennessee, where new laws may conflict with this proposed framework. Once again, I think that's where they try this whole blacklisted / expulsion deal. But this move is seen as an effort to bring order to the currently unregulated NIL landscape and reduce NCAA legal liabilities. So in essence, It's a major power shift that could redefine how top-level college sports are governed moving forward. Look, and there has to be some sort of leadership. I don't care who you are. College football coaches, college basketball coaches, anyone who's in charge of the game, usually coaches, and I think even athletic directors, administrators, they want some sort of rules. They want it. I mean, everybody wants rules. They may not like them, but they need rules. They want rules out there. You can't just have a free-for-all all the time out there. And so that's what's been happening. It's why it's the Wild West in college sports right now. This, to me, once again, because it's more like you sign this or you're going to be blacklisted or expelled from your own conference, that, I think that kind of forces the hand of these programs to all come together and sign this and start getting some rules put together. This whole era reminds me of the movie. I think it's Leatherheads is what it's called. George Clooney was in the movie, and it's about the start of kind of professional football. Teams were forming in teams were having professional football back in the I think it was the 20s, might have been 1920s, 1930s. They were playing professional football across the United States in Chicago and New York and all that stuff, but there were no rules. There were no rules on the play of the game. There were really no rules on, how players could be at certain teams. It was just a free-for-all. That's what this time, go back and watch maybe Leatherheads. It's pretty decent. And so it reminds me of this time where, it's a free-for-all and everyone can do what they want. And then it comes to a point in the movie at the end where they're like, okay, we need a commissioner. We need someone to make some rules and enforce these rules so that we can have a league. And look at where professional football is now. I mean, it's the top entity in all of sports. But that's my point. I mean, college football had some rules, had some guidance with the NCAA. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. NCAA said, we don't want to deal with this anymore because all you do is complain. Fine, here you go. And off and running, and now everyone's running around with the chicken with their head cut off. And now we're going to try to get all back together with a new college sports commission. And on top of that, they're going to talk about getting a CEO to oversee college sports rules enforcement after this, after the House versus NCAA is done. So you're going to get a CEO to oversee, I think, the College Sports Commission, which will then oversee all that. It is a start. This is a step in the right direction for college sports to get things kind of back together. I'm telling you, if this Wild West thing just keeps going and going and going and going and going, I think you're going to see more and more problems come up. And with those problems is going to be less viewership, is going to lead to less money, and then you're having problems. So I like where this is going with the CEC, with the CSC and the CEO to oversee all this. Hopefully they can find a way to get this done. We'll see. Getting all these people underneath one roof is going to be very difficult to do, but something is going to have to happen. And I think a lot of people would be happier if that was the case, if this is a big if they could possibly pull it off. But really interesting stuff. You can read more, of course, on CBS Sports if you'd like to.
High drive, deep left, grand slam, and back lifts his ball deep to right. How about a walk-off Brady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Well, last night in Major League Baseball was a late night, but the Royals do get a win over San Francisco in their series opener, 3-1. The Bay Area native, Chris Bubich, fantastic. A no-hitter into the sixth before an official scoring change into the bid. It was a ball hit to second base, and defender slipped and fell, and so they called that. It was not an error. It was a hit. But he allowed just 2 hits, struck out 5. His ERA is a microscopic 1.47. That is amazing for Chris Bubich. He has been fantastic. Vinny Pasquantino got the scoring going in the 8th, the 2-run blast. Kyle Isabel, little insurance ribby in the 9th. And Carlos Estevez picking up another save, his 14th, as the Royals get the win over the Giants. Game 2 tonight, 8:45 Central Time. Late first pitch tonight on AM 790 KXXX. Rockies lose again, 9-3 to the Phillies. Kyle Freeland, 5 1/3, but he remains winless on the season. The bullpen blew it. Tovar got an early spark with a homer. He had 2 RBI. Philly, though, took the lead in the 8th. Alec Boehm with a 2-run bomb to dead center, and then Kyle Schwarber, his 300th career home run was a monster blast. 466 foot down right field. I think it went off the facade of the triple deck up there. It was an absolute bomb, and a 4-run 9th inning just blew the game open. 9-3 the final, and Game 2 is tonight, 6:40 Mountain Time on AM 730 KLOE. All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks again to Tucker Branham. Thanks again to you for listening. Best of luck to area teams with regional baseball. We're back again tomorrow in 23 hours. Hope you join us then. This has been the Morning Blitz. Have a good one.
This is where classic rock legends take flight. Rocket.